morning, everybody. Welcome back to our 44-hour live stream. Welcome to Block 4, our final block. Well, we've come a long way, but here we are towards the end. So, it's Sunday morning, which means church is going on here. So, you might hear throughout the morning some noise bleeding through from church going on. And we're streaming a lot of things from this building right now. So, you might experience some buffering there. That just means that our church is active and there's a lot going on right now, okay? So, four segments to go. We hope you'll stay with us, but we understand church is going on, so if you're in and out, we understand, but we hope you'll be here with us for most of the morning. So, we're going to start off today with breakfast. So, let me introduce Michael and Luke, and you guys can take it away.
Hi, everybody. My name is Michael Jordan. I am from the Midlothian campus. This is my son, Luke. First thing I would like to do is go ahead to apologize to anybody who saw Michael Jordan was cooking, set their alarm, and got excited because Michael was cooking, and woke up and found me. That's kind of how things go for me. Since 1982, I was in 8th grade, my life changed. Anyways, this is my son, Luke. He is a sophomore at Powhatan High School, and he and I are going to be making some breakfast for y'all today. We're going to do a crescent roll ring. We're going to do some stuffed pancakes. Hopefully we're going to have a little fun, and when I'm working with Luke, I'm forever, and he'll tell you, I'm forever trying to teach him. It's always teaching. So today, basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach him how to make what we're making, and hopefully y'all have some fun along the way. We started the bacon, which has how much time on the bacon?
It should have about 6 minutes.
Got about 5 or 6 minutes on the bacon. So while we're getting that cooking, we're going to start with the crescents. So, you grab this pan and this pan. Probably should have left this on screen, huh? Make for much better television. But I got a face built for radio too. Alright, what I want you to do is we're gonna take these crescent rolls and we're gonna put them on here. We want there to be about a 4-inch circle in the middle. Okay. And we're gonna space them evenly, so we'll walk through it. You wanna pop the roll? Popping the roll's the best. Roll. Just push it here with the arrows. Don't be scared, it makes a poppy sound. There we go. Twist that bad boy open. And let's put them on here. What I did is I took these pans and I put them in the refrigerator so that they're cold. This dough is fantastic, and I love crescent roll dough. We're going to talk a lot about crescent rolls today, trust me. But as it starts to warm, it gets harder to deal with. It starts to stick together. So let's switch sides here. Luke, you come over here. And I'm going to take this and it's going to break down into a couple of triangles for us. You're going to take the wide part and put it in the middle, and then end part 12 o'clock. And again, we want about a 4-inch circle, so that's probably going to hang off the edge just a little bit. The recipe called for a 16-inch pizza pan. I got 14. 6 o'clock. 3 o'clock. 9 o'clock. And again, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get these going, and I want to get them back in the cooler and let them cool off before we start handling them to put the food in them and get them in the oven. All right, 1:30.
Yeah.
In between 12 and 3. 4:30. 7:30. And 10:30. Truth be told, this recipe was supposed to have 16 crescents. Somewhere along the drive, I lost a tube. So what I was going to say next, because I thought it was going to be funny, was like, all right, 12:45, 2:15, 3:45, 5:15, but I can't do that now. So we're just going to do what we want to do, but let's try to make this into a circle, because we're making a breakfast, right? So let's get them all together a little bit, and then what you want to do, you want to kind of mush these together and make them into one piece, and that's going to do a couple things to help us out. One, it's going to make it one piece, so we got one steady piece at the bottom. It's going to help keep everything together.
Yeah.
2, what we don't want is we don't want 3 big, huge hunks of dough here and just one as we fold this over the top, because the bottom's going to be all doughy and kind of raw, and it's not going to be evenly cooked. Okay. So we got the bacon in. Let's go ahead and put this one in the fridge. Go ahead and start opening up those rolled doughs there, buddy. And what we're going to do with the doughs, while I leave camera again, watch him beat up Luke. No. What we're gonna do these. I love crescents, so we're doing the crescent ring. These are actually crescent dough sheets. They're not triangles like your normal crescents. These you can see on the label there. They come out and they're rectangles. And what you can do with them is basically we're gonna make our own hot pockets. Today we're gonna do breakfast hot pockets. Obviously since it's breakfast time. But I'll be done by the time Luke gets his can open, and then once he plays catch up, we'll be good. There he goes. Look at him go. What a trooper. All right, I did sanitize this table before we started, so y'all don't go freaking out on me. So all we're gonna do right now for these, buddy, we're just gonna roll them out. Let me grab you another piece of foil, and then we're gonna get started on the bacon and the sausage. Our goal here is to have the bacon and the sausage done at the same time as the eggs. So we kind of keep everything rolling at once. Go ahead and just roll that open on there. Okay. Get these out of our way, because I'm a pig. Hi, Nana. While he's getting whooped up by them crescent rolls, I want to show you something. My wife couldn't be here today. She has a ridiculously low immune system. But when she found out what I was doing and that I was making breakfast on the show, she decided she wanted to make breakfast for the entire staff here. I don't know if y'all know what kind of staff is here, and they tell you during the things, you're like, oh yeah, there's a lot of people here. Not more than 10 if you're watching Governor, but there's a lot of people here. And she made breakfast. She did 3 casseroles, and she did some blueberry muffins and some chocolate chip muffins. And these are cheese Danish crescent rolls, which are ridiculously good, but I'm not going to make them today, so sorry about that. But I did want to give her a shout out because she couldn't be here today, but she did a fantastic job feeding the crew. And I want y'all to know the reason we fed the crew, I don't mean to speak for you, it's for all of us to say thank you to them. We've heard all this talk the last few months about essential personnel, and everybody's essential. The people in this building right now, bacon's done, the people in this building right now are our essentials. So when I first got this, it was like, oh, I got to make Brian breakfast. That's a little nerve-wracking. And then I got to think, I get to make Brian breakfast, and I get to make the band breakfast, and I get to make Ellis breakfast. We're not going to make Elijah breakfast. But everybody else, we get to make breakfast. And it's just an honor, and I just want to make sure that all y'all know that I made it for them on behalf of y'all, or Jenna made it for them on behalf of y'all as a way to say thank you for being our essential personnel. So, enough about that. Luke's going to put that in the fridge, and I'm going to grab it. I keep leaving the screen. This is terrible. We got to have a baby. Yeah, we'll get the bacon. All right, next we're going to get the bacon out, and then we're going to start doing some bacon and some sausage. Luke is going to do one. I'm going to do the other, and effort of time. Why don't you grab the bacon out, son?
So this one.
It's in all of them. We got bacon everywhere. Now what we did is we put the bacon, as opposed to doing it on a skillet, which don't get me wrong, I like skillet bacon. But when you're making a lot of bacon, and if you're going to make bacon, a lot, it makes sense. All right, that one needs a few more minutes to leave that open some. What I'm going to do, and I'm glad they have 2 stoves here. I'm going to show you this. When you put 2 things on there, top to bottom, they don't cook as well. These all went at the same time. That one's not nearly as cooked as the other ones, or that one's more cooked than these 2 because it wasn't getting the even heat flow that you're supposed to get from an oven. So we're going to start with this. This can cook up a few more minutes. We got some stuff we can do with that anyways. First thing we need to do, Luke, take that bacon, put it on here, and let's get the grease draining. And like I said, our next step is we're going to scramble some eggs, and we're going to cook up the sausage. Now we're just going to let that soak in there and get some of that grease out of there so it's yummy for us later. Quicker. Come on, you do 2 pieces. Alright. So like I say, now we got to scramble eggs and we've got to brown bacon. Which do you want to do?
I'll do the eggs.
Because I want to do the eggs. So you want to do the eggs?
Yeah.
I want to do the eggs. Alright, let's settle it like men. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's have a thumb war. Oh! Let's take a look at the replay. 2, 3, 4. Let's have a thumb war. Tag team, no! Alright, back to live action. Fine, take the eggs.
Yeah.
So he's going to do 8 eggs. We're going to put them in here. We're going to do a little milk with them. You're going to do one on that side. I'll get that skillet out of the way. I want you to put this milk we're going to do. We're doing 8 eggs. We're doing half a cup of milk and some salt and pepper to taste. And I'm going to be doing a pound of sausage. And while I'm doing a pound of sausage, because I realize watching sausage brown and egg scramble is really not very fun, card tricks are very fun. So we're going to take our cameraman over there and we're going to do a card trick with him. And y'all can play too if you want. That trash. There you go. So 8 eggs in there, buddy. You gonna show him how you can do it one-handed? You gonna crack the eggs one-handed? Here goes a one-handed egg crack. I used to work at Cracker Barrel. He thought that was the coolest thing growing up. Now look at it. Sorry?
Very good.
Knocking it out like a champ. Look at him go, folks. So we're gonna do 8 eggs. I got a pound of bacon, or a pound of sausage going. We made, 2 pounds of bacon this morning?
Something like that.
Something like that. And we're gonna use all of this on several different things today. So we're making a little more than the recipe calls for. Actually, there's only one recipe. We're doing like 5 things. The rest of it we just make up when we're having fun. Card trick, because there's only so long I can watch meat brown. All right, what am I doing? How many viewers do we got? You have no idea, do you?
I do. Hold on. 21.
Woo! Hey, that's perfect because that's how many cards I need for my card trick. All right, you 21 people who thought you were getting Michael Jordan and got stuck with me and said, except for my mom. We're going to do a card trick and I'm going to need y'all's help. Let's see here. He's working hard over there, isn't he? All right, guys, here's what we're going to do. Now we're going to make this, to my knowledge, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, this is a lifetime premiere, first ever on a PCC student live stream interactive magic trick. Is that correct?
Sounds correct to me.
Score. You like all that, Luke?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm so mad at you about the thumb wrestling. Tag team's cheating. All right. The sausage is still browning, but I got time to kill, so. Can you see those cards, everybody? Can they see them there, sir?
Yes.
All right, now everybody type in what card you want to be the card that y'all choose. And while you do that, I'm just going to shuffle them a little bit so you know that there is no cheating.
What should I do?
What you do? Put it on about a little medium.
Single or dual?
Dual. The more heat, the better. They have a card picked? Don't tell me the card.
Not yet.
Come on, guys.
It's a little delay, so
Okay.
it should be coming through.
Then I'll tell it slow. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a card. Oh, I'm sorry. Man, they were right yesterday. It's warm in here. Oh, I got my Just One shirt on. I know there's some people that don't go to this church that are watching because y'all love me, and I appreciate that. And I got people, if I'm not mistaken, I got Tennessee. We got people all over the country watching, so that's pretty cool. Hey, Mom. But Just One is our thing. It's just one. Just get one more person. Just do one more good thing. It's all about just one. And it's a big thing, and they always want you to get just one and try to bring one more in. Well, I will happy to announce I am his just one. He went to church with some friends and came home after that day and said, Dad, I think I found our church. And, 3.5, 4 years later, he was right.
Something like that.
So now Luke and I work on the Do Good team with Bruce Jagger. Hi, Bruce. And I work with the youth group at Midlow, and Luke is in the band at Powhatan. But yeah, it's been about 4 years. Did we get a card?
Oh, yeah, we got
Don't.
some.
Okay, you got a card, but don't tell me what it is, right? Okay. Oh, they're talking about which one they're gonna pick. I'll check the sausage.
Pick one, yes. Let's go.
Elijah doesn't know, but his breakfast is riding on this trip. So. I love you more than bacon. I got that from Luke. That's why I brought that with me. All right, what we're going to do, you know what the card is, right? So when I'm done, I want you to tell me which stack my card is in. Your card is in, all right?
Okay.
Wait till I'm done, because if you tell me when it comes out, it'll be a little easy. Where are we got? This stack, or this stack? This one over here? All right. Turn that down a little bit. Whack on it a little bit. I'm gonna to tell you all about this, and it looks weird, but it's really cool. All right, let's do that one more time, sir. When I get done, tell me which stack your card is in. How's it going over there, buddy?
Slow?
Very slow. Yeah, turn it up a little bit. Very good. Okay. Which stack is it in, sir?
Middle.
In the middle. All right, what you want to do, just leave it alone for a minute, because what's going to happen is as it gets hot, it's going to start to foam up, and then you take the spatula, and you just kind of push it, and it'll start to build up walls. You'll see how it works. All right, that's twice, right? Let's do this one more time, and then I promise I'll get back to whatever I'm supposed to be here to do. Let's see here. Card trick, card trick. Hey, Luke.
Yeah?
What's the difference in a Zippo and a Hippo?
What's the difference?
A Hippo is very, very heavy, and a Zippo is just a little lighter. Which stack was it in?
Right.
This one over here? All right. All right, you ready?
Ready.
Here we go, folks. Come on. I'll bet you the next card I flip over is yours.
Okay.
Anybody want to bet? Anybody willing to bet his bacon for breakfast? The next card I flip over is y'all's card. I get it?
That was it.
All right, back to work. So that's the card trick segment. This is my bag of time to kill stuff. I'll throw those away because I don't have any more card tricks, so don't ask. Let's check this bacon over here. All right, while that's doing that, this looks pretty good. All right, what we need to start chopping up the bacon. You keep with the eggs. Luke's doing raw eggs, so we're going to let him just stay there on the raw eggs because my friends salmonella show up every time we cook raw eggs and don't wash our hands across the pan. Now this thing, really goofy looking appliance, got me like $4 at my local grocery store. If I say anybody's name, we're back to Facebook. So it's great if anytime you're grinding meat. We do a lot of tacos, and obviously I'm doing sausage here today. It's fantastic. It's a little tough at the start, but once you get the meat going, it makes grinding meat a whole lot better than your regular spatula or anything else that I've really used. And it's $4 at food lane. The food cane. All right, so that is just about done. You say the bacon on that side's done, buddy?
That's pretty good.
All right. Time for a kitchen life hack! Kitchen
boy.
life hack! All right, this is my first kitchen life hack. What kitchen life hacks are, it's just things that I do that make my job a little easier sometimes. You ever have to cut something and the cutting board, it slides everywhere, and you try cutting and it goes everywhere, and it's not easy. So what we do, turn on the water real slow, just a touch of water underneath it. So we're just going to get it damp, and now that it's damp, it sticks. So it makes things a lot easier. Very cheap, very easy. Obviously it costs a paper towel, which they're pretty valuable right now, but all right, so where's our drying bacon? Right here?
Yeah.
We're going to chop some of this up for our recipe. What I want to do, Luke, over here, I don't want to make it too big because it's supposed to be kind of bite-sized.
Yep.
But I'm not making bacon bits either because I eat like a man. By the way, we got extra thick bacon because if you're going to buy bacon, buy bacon. And we probably bought 2 extra pounds because if you're going to buy bacon, buy a lot of bacon. We're going to take some there. We're going to chop a little bit more up. How are the eggs coming, buddy?
I mean, they're starting to form.
Starting to form. Now this bacon is a little cooked less, a little bit less cooked than I like it. But because we're going to put it right back in the oven, that's okay. Some other bacon we're not going to do that with will cook up a little longer. That's why I still got some of the oven. Hey Luke. Hey. What do you call a guy on your wall? I have no idea. Art. Hey Luke.
Yes?
What do you call 2 guys on your wall?
I don't know.
Kurt and Rod. He's trying not to laugh, but I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it when it's all said and done. Alright, yeah, just let it sit for a couple seconds. Get that liquid over here. because the more that's touching this, the
The more.
actual skillet, the quicker it's going to cook up. I meant to tell you, don't put them all in at once because it'll cook quicker, but I was showing off and you were going fast like you do, and here we sit. So,
Whatever works.
yep. All right, so once we get these things out, which is just about to happen, we're about 2 minutes away. We're going to put all this together, and it's going to start to make some sort of sense, I hope. Alright, so your sausage is just about done. Then we get on to the pancake portion of the program. Ooh, it is warm in here. Come on, little cheat sheet. So Luke,
Hey.
guy walks into the bank. He didn't see it. Speaking of the bank, I had a friend that worked at the bank. Did I tell you he lost his job?
Really?
Yes. I asked him what happened. He said it started off great, but then he lost interest. So now he collects leaves for a living. He's raking it in. Oh, wait, he used to be in the elevator business, Luke. Did I tell you he used to be in the elevator business?
No, you did not.
And I said, what do you think about the elevator business, friend, whose name I haven't thought of yet?
Yeah.
And he said, it's got its ups and downs. See, that's four. I promised you 5, right? I told you 5 in a row that we're all going to link up?
Yep.
Okay. See, I love an elevator joke, Luke. You know why? They're classics, and they work on every level. Thank you. That is 5 to 5. Back to back to back to back to back. Dad jokes in a conversational piece. Thank you. You love that, don't you? He's trying so hard not to laugh over there. Actually, I think he's getting mad.
I don't know what my reaction is right now. It's somewhere in the middle.
He's in the middle. In the middle. Luke is in the middle. Where that at? In the middle. All right, we're gonna take the sausage off. What I'm doing I don't have those fancy clear bowls like I told you yesterday. I got paper plates and plastic frames. So we're just gonna put the sausage on here for a minute and let some of the grease drain. Not a ton of grease in the sausage, which obviously is good, but it did take away one of the kitchen life lessons I wanted to show you, which I guess I can still do it. Whenever you're gonna drain grease, you got your skillet, you're making tacos, you're doing something like this, and whenever you go try to turn it out, you take the spatula or the spoon, and then you lose half the product into the sink. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? You're going to thank me for this one. Take a lid that is smaller than the skillet, contain all the meat under there. Turn it upside down. There's no grease on this one, but grease would be pouring out if this was ground beef I used for tacos. But you can do that. I mean, you can basically flip it all the way up. You're not losing hardly any product. So I call it product because I sell food to restaurants, and food to me is product. By the way, since I have you all here, support local restaurants, please. I'm going to go serious for just a second here. I sell to about 50, 60 restaurants, local independent restaurants, and they're hurting. They're hurting. I know everybody's hurting, but support local restaurants. If you follow me on Facebook, you know that's become a big thing of mine, and I'm very support them because I see people hurting every day, and it's not cool. Wow, that's hot! Speaking of not cool, there's the skillet on my hand. You about done with the eggs there, buddy?
That's pretty close.
Woo! Alright. I'm going to go to the washing my hands before I switch to this portion of the program. Because I can't stand gloves and I always forget to put them back on. Oh, bacon grease and bacon tray. Okay, I got to show you something. This is kind of cool because when he said a minute on the eggs, I don't believe it. It's going to be a few minutes. So, I told you earlier I was baking the bacon instead of doing it on the skillet. There's a reason for doing that. There's a couple reasons for doing that. One, the house smells like bacon, and that is fantastic. Two, you don't have the mess, you don't have the splatter. And when you do get done, we did this one, I put parchment paper on foil on the bottom, and I'm going to show you how to clean this up with zero mess whatsoever. We're just going to crumble it up into this foil. Now, this next little life hack has a backstory. This is my little bag this is an old Clorox box container, and I put the bags in here. The store I can't name due to YouTube bag. So I put the bag in there, and we are done. Grease free. I think the pan's actually clean. It's not mine, so I'm not washing it anyways. But so that's the way to do that. But I wanted to tell you, this is, like I said, this is my bag of time wasters, and your is taking the sausage.
I was done in a minute. I hope you know. I'm just letting you speak.
Okay. Letting me speak, like you could stop me. Anyways, this is an old Clorox tube. I cut the bottom off, and I stuffed it with Food Line bag. So it's just kind of a neat little dispenser thing. The reason I did this, I need to be serious again for a minute. My dog eats his own poop. I'm embarrassed to say it. Luke's embarrassed I said it. My wife told me not to say it, but my dog eats poop. So we got to have these bags to follow him around. So necessity being the mother of invention, that is where this little handy thing came from. If you're one of those people that uses the bags, but you don't know where to get them, and you put one in the other, and all of a sudden they're taking over your pantry, pretty good concept right there. And then I got this tape here, pop the lid off, shove some more in there, and because there's so many in there, it's pushing it up like the Kleenex dispenser. So that's just my next little thing. And it's also handy to get the bacon grease out without doing anything. How are them eggs coming home? They're good. All right. So why don't we put the eggs on one of these plates right here?
Yes.
And then you are about to make
Bacon, cheese, and sausage ring.
if we have. How am I doing so far? I'm a little nervous. Can you tell?
You good? Yeah.
You can tell I'm nervous?
No.
Oh my God.
Of course not.
It's an opportunity to show off, sir.
Wait, I need to get to the other side. I'll paddle. Alright, so what are we getting ready to do? We're getting ready to put the croissants together, so I need my measuring cup. Alright, here's where I'm actually going to be handling prepared food. It's going straight on somebody's plate, so I will break out some new salads. You're welcome.
Where do you want me to put these?
Right over here. We're getting ready to start constructing. Hey Luke,
Yes.
did you know that dogs can't have MRIs, but cats can? Oh, thank you. He's about to lose it on me, isn't he? Fitbit down, Fitbit down. All right, bud. Here's what I'm gonna do. Reach over to go grab those the spoons right there next to the cup or next to the pan. All right, so we've got our crescents. We've got our chopped bacon, eggs, sausage, yummy treats of my life. I love you, Jenna. And first thing I want you to do, Luke, I want you to just take. I want you to take eggs, kind of spoon them around. You want to keep them outside of the circle, so as much as you can in there.
That area?
Yes, that's correct. That general vicinity.
That was not enough.
All the way around. Make a ring.
Yeah.
You're going to use a little over half of the egg, so don't be chintzy. Sorry, I said chintzy.
So I don't think I've heard you use that one.
Hey, I should probably check that bacon that's been in the oven way too long.
You probably should.
Yeah, that's a good call, Mike. Oh yeah, looking good. That is how Jenna would like it because it's a little crispier than what we did over here. This is a really heavy pan. And this bacon's just a science experiment at this point. So, oops. All right, while he's doing that, I'm going to show y'all the other way we do crescents. We are about to make our own hot. Yeah, you're about to make hot pockets. Come on, man, pick it up. We got 45 minutes.
I'm aware, but like
You get paid by the hour or by the?
okay, I'll mention that later.
The guy doing card tricks is complaining that he's taking too long. That's adorable, isn't it?
Okay, is this still okay?
Look, man, you got gloves on. People don't care if you touch it. Throw some eggs on there. Let's eat.
I don't know what's overstuffed.
Think about what you would like to eat.
You said half.
Yeah, well, I lied, and I can just make you cook more eggs because I'm the
Alright.
dad. All right. Bacon around there, please. And then some sausage. Actually, bacon and then cheese and then sausage. Let's keep it all in the eggs there.
It's a work in progress.
Yes, it is. Aren't we all? Thank you. By the way, I showed y'all this earlier, and you'll need to confirm because I need Dawn Snyder. Dawn, if you're watching, you're my biblical scholar, as you know, because she worked your class with me. I was told, I love you more than bacon is from the Old Testament, the book of Smithfield, 2:24, is that right?
Sounds correct.
Sounds correct.
Yeah.
The book of Smithfield, I love you more than bacon. He got me that for Christmas a couple years ago, and I know how much he loves bacon, so that's why this is here today.
It's a lot.
Probably
It's a
shouldn't say
lot.
that. A lot?
No, the love for bacon.
Yeah,
It's pretty tremendous.
His shrink said they need to break up. Wait, is that allowed?
Coming up.
Nothing. All right, that's enough bacon there, son. Let's throw some sausage in there.
Yes. Just by hand.
Yeah, that's fine. You got gloves on. People don't care if you touch it. You've had this
I'm
long.
just checking.
Hey, Luke.
Hey.
Why didn't the crab share his stuff?
Why didn't the crab share his stuff, Dad?
Because he's shellfish.
I get it. Because he's a shellfish.
You're a shellfish.
You're right.
All right, and what we're going to do with these sheets while I put everything in my way. Oh, dude, those look fantastic. All right, let's let him finish this up. We're going to try to get all this in the oven at the same time so we can finish up at the same time. Hopefully about the same time the pancakes are done, and eventually this plans to either make sense or end. I know it's going to do one of the two eventually. No, you're good. All right, now, we're going to take, I'm going to do the first one, you're going to do the rest. Just take it, fold it over, tuck it underneath. Okay, I'll do the first two. Yeah, and then just tuck it underneath. Now again, we're supposed to have more crescent rolls. I swear they're probably eating them at the house going, he thought he took them. But, so we're doing, I'm just gonna throw a little extra on there. That's a little sloppy, but this is what I do. They did some beautiful, fantastic, gorgeous things yesterday. You've come to the wrong place if you expect clean and tight here. Hey, wait, let's put the cheese in.
Oh yeah,
That'll be
nice.
awesome.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't really care, but cheese is in the name, so we kind of have to.
Oh, aren't you just efficient?
Yeah. Oh, it's 8:31. It's just me, you, and Nana now because everybody's watching Brian. Hey, Nana. FaceTime me 7 times today. Wait. I love my Nana. All right, now we got the cheese in there. Let's fold these over, buddy. And then these, we're going to make our own little Hot Pockets. You're allowed to say that? I don't know. It's going to be a pocket. It's going to be hot. There are trademark infringements. I apologize.
That's the jingle, right?
Dude, they're I stole that from a comedian, Jim Gaffigan, and I don't think he's watching this morning.
Oh, fair enough.
If he stole it from Hot Pocket, that's between him and them. All right, so what I do with these are those sheets I was talking about. And I'm just going to cut it into thirds. And like I say, I'm going to do the first one and let Luke do the second two because he needs to learn. And I love to teach. You're doing great. Yeah, that's perfect. All right, so what we're going to do, I'm going to do the first one. While I'm doing this, why don't you chop up a little bit more bacon, please, sir? Right here.
Oh, that works.
All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this Hot Pocket. I'm going to put a little bit of egg. All right. A little bit of sausage. A little bit of cheese. You can see how precise my measurements are. Don't mess it up at home. Don't vary from this recipe at all at home or it'll totally screw it up. Let me have a little bacon there, homie. So what we're going to do, now we're just going to take this and we're going to fold it over. Think of a breakfast calzone here, what we're kind of going for. We're just going to roll it. If you got more stuff than crescent, you've done it right, don't worry. If you do that, you've done it wrong, so call for help. But I don't have any help. You're no help. Hey, Luke! You know what we're missing?
What are we missing?
I need a Henway. Go in the refrigerator and get me a Henway.
Hey, wait, what's a Henway?
About 6 pounds. Thank you.
There is no Henway. Get over here. Sorry.
Man, it is toasty here. I'm gonna step off screen. How are we doing on time, sir?
Yeah, about 25 minutes.
Perfect. I bet everybody else is going, really that long? Sorry, guys. Okay, so that's one way to do these. Another way, which is probably easier and probably what I should have done the first time. Okay, now there's more right there. Just put it on here and let it start drying. Just put it on there, start getting the grease off of there. All right, this is the easier way to do it, and I learned this last night, and I forgot that I practiced this way. So if you want to do it a little easier than I did that one, we're going to do the eggs and then the sausage. Hey, Luke.
Hey.
Mrs. Bigger had a baby. Who was bigger, Mrs. Bigger or Baby Bigger?
I would assume the missus.
Well, Baby Bigger was just a little bigger. All right, so we're going to take that, and then what we're going to do is I'm just going to roll it over until it fits. Now I'm gonna cut it instead of cutting it ahead of time. See, I'm programmed to learn as I go. Do you remember the first time you met me? Nope.
I don't think so.
You know why? Because you looked at me like a creepy old guy around the kids, creepy old guy around it was the summer field day event last year. And I had just signed up to do youth group, and I didn't know anybody, and nobody knew me, obviously, because I'm a Midlothian and you're here. And so I just showed up, I was like, I'm here to hang out with the kids. And you were like, kid. So, anyway, that was a funny story. And so we're going to take this, we're just going to fold over the ends. And basically, we've got a little breakfast hot pocket. The cool thing about these crescents, and I promise you this is going to look fabulous when it comes out. It's a little messy, but that's kind of how we do things at the house. It doesn't have to be just breakfast. Bacon and cheese, buffalo spicy chicken, and some blue cheese. What else can we stuff these things with? Any sort of meat and anything that tastes good with meat. If there's more than one food that you like together, add it to a crescent roll, and it can't get worse. Except, well, I'll get into that one in a few minutes because I don't want to spoil what our last one's a treat.
Oh boy.
All right, get over here.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to do these now.
Yes.
All right. That is our first one. You can do bacon, egg and cheese, sausage, egg and cheese, egg and cheese. I don't care. Make your combination.
Hey, wait, what am I doing?
I'm sorry?
What am I doing?
Take a little egg.
Yeah.
Get it ready to do.
Where's the egg?
Oh, we're out of eggs, aren't we? All right, this one is just going to be a carnivore's delight. Take some bacon and some sausage and some cheese, and I will show you how quickly your old man can whip up eggs.
Are we talking like strips or chopped bacon?
Chopped.
All
You
right.
need chopped bacon?
I mean, we got some on
We are slowly falling apart, aren't we, Ellis? It's all down here from here. Who told you 8 eggs? They lied. We needed 10.
I mean, at least you're honest about it.
Yeah.
He confessed. Just saying.
I know we can't screw up the pancake portion, so let's just move on to it.
Now that you say that, we'll probably find a way.
All right, now just take this, start here, and just wait, put some cheese in there, or walk home.
I don't care.
Okay, start walking. Okay. There's a little bit of egg for you. Now with this one, we're going to pull this over and just cover it over, and close all the ends up. Kind of mash them together. You know what a hot pocket looks like on the outside. And I thought I had a tray in here. Right now, Jenna, I love you. I know you're looking at this counter and you're twitching because I'm not cleaning as I go. Oh, that's beautiful, son. All right, look at this hot pocket. So we're gonna take this crappy one that I tried first, this one that got a little better, and his beautiful one that actually looks like a hot pocket. Kinda. We're gonna put these in the oven and that in the other oven, both at 375, both for 12 to 15 minutes. Go.
Okay, that one.
All right.
Can we set a timer on my phone?
Yeah, set a timer for 12 minutes. We're gonna set a timer for 12 minutes there, and we got 12 minutes, dude.
Where did you get 4? Set a timer for 12 minutes.
Every
A
day.
timer is already running.
Change it. Change, please.
Okay, your new timer is running for 12 minutes.
Thank you, Siri.
All right, so now what we got to do is we're going to do some cleaning up first. So why don't you tell them some son jokes? I've had all the dad jokes. Yeah, I know we didn't use this, but we're just gonna do it.
What?
Tell them some son jokes.
I get all of those from you, right?
No, those are dad jokes.
I don't have. What is?
I know
what
the jokes you and your friends tell you can't tell in front of me, or I'll tell you you can't hang out with them when you're grounded.
I can't even think of those.
I'm just serious.
Do we have extra?
Hey, Luke.
Hey.
What do cows like to read? Catalogs.
Climates.
The dark side grows in him. Use your anger, Luke. Believe it or not, he is actually part of the reason his name is Luke.
Mm-hmm.
The first reason is because I couldn't name him Michael Jordan Jr. for obvious reasons. The second is, as we were going through the baby book, what we wanted for Luke, we wanted a 2-syllable strong first name, Lucas, with a strong 1-syllable nickname, Luke. So it came down to he was either going to be William Thomas, named after my grandfather and his mother's grandfather, and we were going to call him Will. But when we got to the L's in the book, I was like, Luke, I am your father. And a son was born. No, leave that there. We're going to use that in just a second for the pancakes. So that's my Luke born story. Oh, one more time waster, because I feel like we got more time than everybody else in the room, apparently. Facebook, they're doing, you're going to love this, and this is going to be your favorite part of the whole thing. It's Facebook, and everybody's doing their graduation pictures to show off for 2020. So I wanted to bring you Luke's graduation picture. That's right. That's him over there.
Why do you have that?
Because I'm your dad. All right, I'll play fair. Here's mine. Okay. Now I'm going to get one even worse because I know that you're feeling pretty bad about this. This is me in the 70s. Okay. Now you see that right now. Yes, and most of these people are watching. I love you all. You see that little dapper guy right there in the middle? That is me. And you look at him, and in a thesaurus, if you saw that picture, it would say dapper. And in TV Guide, it would say watch Little Rascals. Because I don't know what my mom dressed me there, but apparently we were selling oatmeal that day. So that's another time waster. Pancakes. Let's do some pancakes. We're going to do some stuffed pancakes because they're awesome. And we're going to stuff some with bacon and some with some fruits. So, and we're going to cheat on the pancake mix because time. But do you want to do cut the fruit, or do you want to shake and start the pancake mix?
I'll cut it.
Because I was hoping to cut the fruit. Again? Seriously? Come on. Come on. I ain't scared. I want a rematch. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. With them. 1.
Too slow.
Fine. I get to shake the pancake mix. That's what I wanted to do anyway. Silly. Alright, so we're going to do what we call stuffed pancakes. Kind of fun at our house. Luke is going to slice up some strawberries and some bananas. I am going to make the pancake mix ready. Yeah, we'll bring those over. We got about 20 minutes. This is great. I got like 40 more dad jokes to go through.
Oh boy.
Yes. You ever seen a 15-year-old's head explode? Keep watching. All right, let's get a fresh cutting board for Luke. What are you going to do to keep that from slipping across the floor, across the table, buddy?
Can I get a paper towel?
Absolutely. What a good idea. Isn't it? They're far, far away, but I'll go get it.
Appreciate the sacrifice.
Anything for you. Oh, can I sing that? Am I going to get in trouble for that one? I'm pretty sure anybody that likes that song has passed away 20, 30 years ago, so we're good. No, that one I might not
That's
get away with.
conveniently heart-shaped.
Okay, one more life hack, and this has got to be ridiculously brief because I was told I probably shouldn't do this because of the whole Facebook thing yesterday. I love, and he will tell you, anybody around me, music. I love to listen to music. I'm constantly listening to music. He tells me things like, Dad, you know every song on the radio. And I say, only the ones that aren't terrible. So I love music, but I'm always listening to music, especially when I'm cooking. And this is kind of cool, I think, a life hack, and I certainly didn't invent it. But if you got a cup, I'm going to use a measuring cup because I'm cooking and it makes sense. But if you drop this in the cup, you know how much louder it gets? Life hack, life hack. So it gets louder. And the reason it does that, because I'm always teaching you stuff, as you know, buddy, and we're going to pause that before anybody realizes what song it is. When your music comes out of your speaker, it's just go. Right? It's going a billion different directions all at once, kind of like me in the last 25 minutes. But if you put it here, it's all forced up, so that's why it's amplified. That's why it sounds louder. So that's the cool little life hack for today.
Is that how we're doing?
This way. What I want, let me show you one real quick. We're putting them in pancakes, buddy. They got to be thin. For those of you wondering, I probably figured it out right now, but I don't work in restaurants. I did start at Cracker Barrel when I was 15, and I sell food to restaurants now, so I've been in food my entire life, but I had to get nights and weekends off, and thus I sell food to restaurants now and support local restaurants. That looks nothing like what I just did.
Well,
Actually,
they were already kind of botched.
All right. Botched? We don't do botched. All right, pancake mix. Will you turn the griddle on to 300, please, buddy?
Yep. Maybe.
I can't believe you wanted to cut the fruit. I get to shake the pancake mix. All right.
Another chance to beat you. So, like,
Yes.
faster.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thinner the better, because they're going in pancakes.
That was not done.
Hey, Luke.
that?
What do you call a cow that can't have babies anymore?
I wonder.
Decaffeinated. He grows weary. I'm wearing him down. All right, so we're gonna do that and banana, stuffed pancakes, ladies and gentlemen. Breakfast can be fun. You can tell I don't eat bananas much because I'm getting whooped by this peel here.
So
Make them real thin, real thin. Look at you. Aw. You're making them real thin, like I said. I'm a dork. All right. That's it. No, that's.
Where are you trying to go?
That's having fun. You ever had stuffed pancakes?
I'm not.
Ha!
Looking forward to it.
You like meat?
I do.
And you like fruits?
I do.
You're in for a treat. And you like chocolate?
I do.
Dumb question. I think the only people that don't like chocolate work for caramel. They work for big caramel.
Lactose intolerance.
Yes, those people I really feel sorry for. Somebody that can't have dairy or pork. Okay, that's a good start. We're just doing a little thing here.
I mean, it's here. I might as well finish it.
Oh, by the way, some of this is going to Angie Frames after we leave. That's why you can hear her going, cook more, cook more, cook more. Speed it up, we're hungry. Look at him go. What?
Do you want to get the rest of this?
Sure. We'll make a snack. Kathy. All right, anybody's made pancakes like this, it's pretty easy. You dump it on there, and they become circles, and they make pancakes. But we're gonna do a bacon stuffed pancake. Let's say that again together. Bacon stuffed pancake. I'll look at the camera, you just keep on staring at that banana. And then we're gonna do some fruit stuffed pancakes, and then we're gonna tinker with combinations and have a little fun. And then, when there's just a couple minutes left, hopefully that'll be ready, and I'll put food in my mouth and shut up.
Is that good enough?
Did I shut up because the food's done?
Well, no,
Yeah,
is
that's
that- is
plenty.
that
So,
good?
that's plenty. All right, so I'd like to say everything else we've done. I'm going to do the first one. I'm going to show you Luke how to do it. This is one of my favorite things to make. I always put the pancake mix into here, from here, when I'm doing these specifically, because I'm trying to make more of a rectangle shape than I am a round shape, and this just helps me do that quite a bit. All right, so I'm going to spray her down right here. Come here, Luke. You see how to do this, buddy. I'm going to take one piece, and I'm just going to come down like this and make it into a rectangle. And then I'm going to take the bacon and put it right there on top of that. And then I'm going to put more pancake batter on there. And we're going to have a stuffed pancake in just a minute. Well, a couple of minutes. The beautiful thing about making these is if they get ugly, once you flip them over, you can clean them up, and I'll show you how that works too. So you figure out, see how I did that, buddy?
Mm-hmm.
Make me a pancake.
Is this a bacon one? Oh, no.
Yes. They're already lining up to eat your food. This better be good. Come in, come in. Beauty. A little crazy at the end there. Looks like an exclamation point, but it's going to work.
I'm trying.
No, you're doing fine, son. Just put a little bit over the top. Bam. All right. Again, we can clean it. We're going to make these gorgeous when we flip them over. They'll be perfect. They'll be uniform. They'll be bang. So let's grab a plate over there because we're going to get those going. Next, we're going to do some. I'm sorry? Oh, we'll probably use one. Okay. So, when you're cooking pancakes, young folks out there, you'll see this. It's going to start to. It's kind of shiny and it's going to start to dull. And when it gets dull about 2/3 of the way, how much time we got, sir?
4 minutes over, but that's okay.
We're over already?
You are, yeah.
Holy crap.
But that's okay.
How
That's
much?
Okay.
Is there something going on next? Do I need to fly through this? She told me I
I'm
talked too much.
interviewing Jeremy. I'm supposed to at 9.
Okay, so we got 10 minutes. How much time's on those?
That's on my phone.
I'm terrible at this.
1 minute, 36 seconds.
All right, so that'll be ready 1 minute 30.
You're
We'll-
good,
We
you're
will
good.
be done in time for Jeremy.
People
Sorry,
been
guys.
loving
I get to babbling and I just can't stop.
it. People been loving it.
Well, he's been sitting there going, but I thought he was just kidding. I thought he was like, you're dealing, dude. You're dealing.
It's good.
So wait, what's next?
So people are having fun then?
They are. The
Good.
chat is lively.
The chat is lively.
Yeah.
If you see anything from Catherine Hanley, that's my mom. She's supposed to say that. I could be terrible. She'd tell you I'm great. All right. Sorry we've gone over, guys. Anybody that knows me, shocker, I talk too much. All right, so we're just going to cut these down a little bit. Here, give that a flip, my buddy. But you can see how it's starting to dull?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to go crazy. Liver.
Second.
Do that one another minute. Again, we want to get about 2/3. It's still now these are a little thicker, so they take a little longer than a regular pancake. But let's go ahead and start another one because we got to. Well, actually, we can't do that.
What?
We got to do a round one. So give me a nice round pancake right there. We're gonna stuff it with some fruit.
Enough to fill this, basically.
No. Give me a round pancake right there.
Oh, we're doing
Top speed. Come on.
Yeah, that. Okay.
Just round. 4 minutes over. We're horrible. Like your round pancakes. All right, do you want to do banana or do you want to do strawberry?
Strawberry.
So put a couple slices in there.
You're not gonna find me for this one. Hello. That's right.
All right. Let's take it up a notch.
Isn't it? All right.
Bam. All right, put a little pancake batter on there. All right, we've got the fly here, son.
Okay, that's horrible. It's a working burger. Bam.
Whatever works. By the way, I did this at my house by myself and it took 42 minutes. There's your problem, ladies and gentlemen. That's a 10-minute stall right there. I'm just kidding. All right, so get in here, Elijah, before you got to interview somebody. We'll let y'all eat some of this real quick. This is the breakfast ring. It doesn't look good. Trust me, it's fantastic. And then we've got our little hot pockets.
You really shake that one for me.
So these are our little hot pockets. Again, crescent rolls are so wow, that's hot. Crescent rolls are so much fun, and I'm trying to wrap this up real fast. And Angie Frame, if you're watching, I've got a special pancake for you that I'm going to make up in just a little bit. But we're gonna flip that over. The wheels have come off here, son, as we run out of time, and I'm losing my cool. But I think we're gonna pull through.
Looks good.
Yes, sir. All right.
Yeah, you're seriously good. We'll push. I'll put in the chat. We'll push the thing back.
Okay.
Interview back a little bit. We had an hour scheduled for it anyway. So.
Okay, well, good. Then I feel less pressure, and we're gonna make Reese's
Mention that.
peanut.
They heard me, but tell
Yes.
tell the people.
I will be on an extra 10 minutes. Yay! So we're probably going to run a little bit late because I can't shut up. But look at the people that made breakfast are like, get out. We've got to clean up and go home. Don't worry, ma'am. I have him. He'll clean it all. We got this. All right. You want to check your bacon pancake there?
It's not voluntary. Yeah.
It's not voluntary.
Old fashioned loose with the.
Just work it.
That one's done, buddy. Let's take it off. Yeah.
Ooh. That was one.
Would you like to try a bacon stuffed pancake?
I would.
Outstanding. All right, and we're going to go one more
Slide.
awesome pancake before we get out of here. Let's take this one. Actually, there's my problem. This thing is turned around backwards. The hot spot's over here. I'm used to it being over here. That's the reason we're 15 minutes behind. It's not because I burnt the bacon and screwed everything else up. I promise.
I'm trying not to mess the bottom up.
You're not going to mess the bottom up. Once it's cooked for a few minutes, it's golden.
You want to flip it up?
Look at that. Oh. All right. Give me one pretty good sized pancake. This is going to be for Miss Midlow Pastor. We used to call these Mama Not Home cakes because you can only make pancakes with Reese's peanut butter cups when Mom's not home. But after a recent conversation I had on Facebook and
Oh my God.
getting suckered, that's perfect. Getting asked nicely, I didn't say suckered in, I said asked nicely to take Angie some breakfast when we're done cooking. We're going to call these pastor cakes. And that is a Reese's peanut butter cup pancake. But since he said we got time, we need to make a banana one too, because they're.
Put the rest of that in?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I don't know how loaded we're making.
It's like the dessert food of bacon. The more the better. Whew.
I'm gonna need maybe.
Little chamber on Father's Day. All right, since we got time, we're gonna make one more pancake. We're gonna get this crazy looking strawberry cake out of here. Although they're fantastic. You like strawberries and chocolate? I mean, who doesn't? Now what we can do with these, and again we kind of run out of time, so we're getting a little sloppy, but you get the concept. Pancakes taste good no matter what they look like. And you can top this with some strawberry jam.
Oh, dang.
Wow, man, strawberry jam. We brought some homemade strawberry jam that Trix made. I don't know if Trix is watching. She lives in Tennessee, but you could do some Nutella on there. Obviously, you could do a little chocolate syrup on there. One more quick cake I want to make up that I'm going to take because we're going to do it really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
How about a banana stuffed pancake with some chocolate chips and peanut butter? Come on. Is that even fair? That's not fair to other breakfast foods, is it? Just like I'm not fair to Jeremy's interview time.
Gordon Ramsay wants a bigger location.
Gordon Ramsay's working at a Sam's Club. Don't you watch TV? Am I allowed to say that? Gordon Ramsay or Sam's Club?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah. We're back on Facebook because MJ can't keep his mouth shut. Alright, so this is going to be our last two because we're about out of time. I do want... Hey, Elijah, can you come back in here and try this?
It's gonna be a second.
I know you're listening. My God, look at the mess we've made. My goodness, look at the mess we've made. Alright, so I am really anxious for you guys to try these. I know they came out looking a little cruddy. I hope y'all have had fun. Somebody's got to come eat this before we turn the show off, though. Isn't that how it works? You want to try a piece?
I will.
Please.
Of course. All right, square this up.
Square it up. Somewhere on my refrigerator shelf. Grab me one more plate. Oh, they took all the plates plates right there behind me. Remember, they took them for breakfast. Somewhere in my refrigerator is a case of Crescent's going. You know, if he took me, that'd look a lot better. Oh, look, we started cutting food and Elijah showed up.
Yep.
Shocker. Alright, while we're cooking these,
You guys ready to flip?
let's give it another minute. Again, they're thicker because
Yeah.
they have so much stuff in them.
It's not very hot.
Hey, Luke.
Hey.
You having fun? Yeah. You're doing a good job, man. I love you. I'm proud of you. Fist bump. You sure you're having fun?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. You like the fist bump? Fist bump? Fist bump?
That's soggy.
Fist bump? Is he another?
It's so
High five.
soggy.
High five. High five. Okay. Go Vols. I am a Tennessee fan.
Oh, Lord.
Which some people out there might explain why it's slow. Angie, no jokes, because I know you Kentucky fans get on those Tennessee fans, but March 3rd. Check the date. I think it was 81-73. Good guys. All right, so we got a banana pancake and a banana chocolate chip, and what's this one? The
Strawberry.
The strawberry. And that's what we've made today, and that's wow, this is a mess.
Taste feel good, bro?
And we did good. You have fun. I mean, we're having fun. Y'all have fun. Tell us up, down. And Mom, you don't count. I know you love me no matter what I do. Is that it?
Come get some.
Are you sick? Yeah, come on in and eat.
Oh,
bud.
okay, okay.
All right, we got
What's up?
bacon stuffed pancakes.
Bacon
strawberry-
stuffed pancakes?
Yes.
What?
Chocolate and strawberry stuffed pancakes. This is a banana and chocolate chip pancake, and this is the pastor cakes because I'm taking it to my pastor right afterwards. It's a Reese's peanut butter cup pancake. If you want, I'll make you one after.
Can I be your pastor? Because that's the one I want.
I'll make you another one. But
It's all right. I'll
I
take
am
this
loyal
one.
to one pastor alone. That's you, Angie Frame.
I'll take this one.
All
I'll
right,
take
yeah.
this one.
And if you want, I got some homemade strawberry jam you can sprinkle over the top of it. These
Yes.
peanut butter pancakes, the banana and peanut butter, or the banana and chocolate chip. We're gonna put some peanut butter on top of that one,
Thank you.
and it's gonna be stupid good.
This looks great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Come on in and eat.
All right. Hey, thank you guys for being
Hey,
here.
yeah.
Thank you for
Thank
this.
you.
Looks incredible.
Corona hug.
We're
Happy
doing
longer.
Jeremy interview at 9:15. So don't go anywhere. It's gonna be great interviewing Jeremy Ford. That man has a ton of stories. So you'll want to hang out. If you made breakfast along with him, you can eat your breakfast, watch an interview. It'll be great. Till then, though, we'll see you.
It's a mess, but it's yummy. I promise.
Mhm.
Thanks, y'all. Luke,
We'll see
I
you
love
there.
bud.
See ya. Hey everyone, welcome back. Thank you for hanging out for this next segment. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, the bearded, the tatted, the swollen Jeremy Ford. Jeremy, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having
today.
me.
A lot of you watching probably know Jeremy, but Jeremy, for those that don't know you, why don't you? Here will be a fun exercise because this is literally probably an impossible question to answer. Why don't you, in 30 seconds or less, summarize yourself for people who don't know who you are?
Ooh, 30 seconds or less. Yep. I am a husband, a campus pastor to 2 campuses of PCC, one of which it's in a prison. I love motorcycles, and yeah, that's 30 seconds.
That was like 8. That was like 8 seconds.
Well, you said you wanted the short version.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because we'll get into the long stuff here in a minute. But as you'll notice, guys, we have our COVID masks here that everybody's now wearing.
Yes.
This actually, we didn't plan this. They were just sitting here because here on a Sunday, if you don't know, our PCC staff is sort of divided into what we're calling bubble teams. So Jeremy and I share a team, which is why we can sort of share a table like this. But our blue team, which isn't our team, is currently doing Sunday morning stuff. So we're trying to wear our masks we're sharing the same building, but we're going to protect ourselves.
Yes. We want to be socially responsible. And
sure.
This is my beard-friendly mask.
Right. You can still expose the...
Because it doesn't put a big wrinkle in my beard.
Yeah, and you still got to show it off.
Yes.
If you're going to grow it and
yes.
groom it, you got to show it. But this mask leads me to a question that we'll start with.
Okay.
So it's no secret for anybody that knows you that you're on the extreme outer limits of extrovert.
Yes.
So what are you doing right now to make sure that you, probably the most extroverted person I know, just don't go completely crazy?
Well, interesting. My wife and I had this conversation because my wife, Shanoa, is a extreme introvert, and she pushes her extrovert, but even she is beginning to get a little stir crazy. And the other day we were talking about it, and she said, I don't understand. Like, how are you, like, fine? Like, how are you not going in it? I said, well, I'm not fine. I said, but you got to understand. Like, I spent 12 years of my life away from people. Mm-hmm. So I just have to try and flip a switch in my mind that says, because it kills me to go somewhere and see people from a distance. Like, not being able to engage them, to hug people, to hang out and that kind of stuff. It literally is so much harder on me than seeing them from a distance and engaging them. So I'm just trying really hard to kind of I've kind of gone into this bubble, and it's hard. I really like to talk to people. I like to be around people. But I've had to just kind of go into this, well, for lack of a better term, prison mode that says...
My man Jeremy said, I won't do the interview if I don't have water, so...
Yeah, it was, that and a bowl of green M&Ms, but
right.
We don't have the green M&Ms, so this was all that was in the rider.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's tough. I've literally driven around to people's houses who go to the Amelia campus and just parked in the driveway, went up, knocked on the door, and then backed off and stood in the porch. And like, hey, let's hang out, let's talk a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult, and hopefully it won't go on much longer because I want to be around a bunch of people.
Sure. It's funny that you said you are kind of going into prison mode. I do know that people are, some people are trying to equate it to like what this is kind of feels like what I would imagine being in prison feels like. But most of those people, almost all of them, have never actually been to prison.
Right.
You, on the other hand,
Yeah.
have. So is this kind of like being in prison?
Well, to be honest, it's a cakewalk because I can still go to my fridge and grab whatever I want.
Sure.
I can still, if I have to, jump in my car and run to a convenience store because I need something or something like that. But there is aspects of it that are very similar in the sense that, we're socially distant. And when you're not used to being socially distant, which is the same place you find yourself there, when you're used to being out and around and engaging in society, and then you're forced to be contained in a specified space. So I would say there are some parallels for sure.
Yeah. I always find it funny when people are like, man, I feel like I'm in prison. And I'm like, maybe you should think about that for a minute. 'Cause
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I get the similarities, but
Yeah,
there's definitely some differences.
Right. Well, I kind of want to take. I think we'll get to some more of that stuff. For if you don't know Jeremy, his story is an incredible one, and he would tell you that it's not really more important or more special than anyone else's, but it is. It's one that when you hear it or you're listening to it, you can't like quit listening to it. It's one of those. So, but we're gonna go like all the way back for a little bit and
Okay.
talk about you growing up. So, you're originally from Arizona, and so talk about Arizona a little bit because you were there like all of your childhood and teenage years. Right?
Most of my life. My mom was married 5 times to 4 guys. Don't ask me to explain the math there.
Right.
But
Sounds like a riddle.
And there were a few times, we've seen a lot of those going around on social media.
Right,
lately.
yeah. How many triangles are here?
Miss Brown has 4 daughters.
Yeah.
No, but so we would leave and move to a few different places. I've lived in, California and Michigan and Colorado, but mostly Arizona. I would say of the 35 years of my life before I moved to Virginia, I spent probably 33 of them in Arizona. I loved Arizona. I didn't know any, a whole lot different. It's hot, but it's a dry heat, which always, I gotta be honest, always kind of pissed me off when people would say that. When I lived in Arizona, they'd be like, "Oh, well, yeah, but it's a dry heat." I'm like, 120 is 120. You can fry an egg on your dash. Like, it's hot,
Yeah.
And then I moved to Virginia. And I lived here and I worked in the car business when I first moved out here and would have to walk car lots. And I did that for the whole first summer that I lived here. And then I flew back to Arizona for my brother's wedding, and I got off the plane, and they landed. It's like 9 o'clock at night, and they're like, "Okay, it's 104 outside," and I'm like, "Oh." And I walked outside, and it felt like it was like 80 degrees, and I'm like, "Okay, I owe those people an apology because I finally understand what this whole dry heat thing was because humidity I can't get behind." But it was I don't know. It was a childhood. I mean, I had a lot of fun. I ran amok in the desert, and that kind of stuff. We kind of grew up most of my formative years kind of out in the middle of nowhere, so kind of had free reign over a bunch of stuff and just had a lot of fun and being a kid.
Right. Speaking of being a kid, what we're doing here is geared toward our students. So I know that, and again, we'll get into this in a minute. I know you could easily categorize like almost that as if you've lived 2 lives in a way. But I want to talk about the first portion of it for a while, like when you were a student's age, So talked about having fun, running amok or whatever. If whatever you're interested in doing or how far you're going, like I'm going to leave that up to you, but just talk about like the things that, not necessarily all the nefarious things you may have been getting into then, but just like what was life like in Arizona for you growing up as a teen?
As a teen is that's an interesting window, and it's hard to not get to at least nod to and have some conversation about some of the nefarious stuff. Because early in my teen years, my mom, who was my sole parent, my dad had passed away before I was born. My mom left and took my brother and my sister with her. And so early in my teen years, I started bouncing around. I didn't really have a lot of school thing going on. I didn't really go to high school. I mean, I went, but it was like walk in the front door, walk out the back door, go do whatever I wanted to do kind of thing. So that aspect of my life, those years, were kind of odd, kind of different from most people. I stayed with my aunt and uncle for a little while, and then I moved to Northern California and stayed with my grandfather and kind of lived on the beach and moved back and was homeless for a while, slept on some park benches and that kind of stuff, and then ended up kind of living at my grandmother's house. And so by the time I was 16 years old, like I had an apartment and lived with an older woman, and like, so it's a little different than
maybe the average.
Yes, definitely
what the
not average.
student is going
It's
through.
interesting. I don't think a lot about this because, after I went to prison, I went back and got my GED and did some college and that kind of stuff. But recently, as a kind of tribute or nod to the 2020 seniors, I've seen all of these people going back and posting their yearbook photos from when they graduated and
Yeah.
putting the year of their graduation. And there's a little bittersweet thing there, like I'm a little bit like, it hurts my feelings because I can't do that because I don't have anything like that.
Right.
Like, I don't have a picture in a high school yearbook anywhere at any grade. So, yeah, that was kind of rough. But.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so we're gonna bounce between, because as I mentioned, Jeremy's story has some heavy elements to it, and I am curious to explore those, even if it's not the prototypical student experience.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would imagine would be similar is, you mentioned your mom and her various relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and then how maybe she left with a couple of your siblings.
Mm-hmm.
What, if you look back on it now, what kind of how deep do you think the impact of those things went into shaping you as to who you were then?
Then it created a lot of anger, a lot of misunderstanding in the sense that I didn't understand why she would take them and not me. So, obviously I kind of equate it, and I don't know because I've never experienced this from two actual parents. I've only experienced it with my parent and guys that she married. But I equate it almost to a level of divorce, like what some kids go through when they get divorced, and it feels like one parent kind of leaves them behind, or that kind of thing. That would probably be the closest relationally that I can come up with of what that may feel like for someone else. And it was hard. I was very angry for a long time. I didn't talk to my mom for a few years, and really kind of harbored some. Went through a phase of, first it was, harboring anger. And then after I was harboring anger, then I wanted her approval and, her attention. And so
Sure.
it was almost like working through the stages of grief
Okay.
in what was happening there. So, yeah.
Okay, so that, of course, led you to where you ended up in prison. You spent 10 years. 12 years in prison. Okay. We don't talk too much about that because you can find that story a lot of different places. Ironically, we are going to talk about prison, but not him being in prison. Different kind soon. So when you get out in what year?
2010.
2010. Were you ready to just be the same Jeremy Ford that went in?
No, I was completely different. I was ready to try and get an extremely late start on being just a productive member of society. And I didn't know really what that looked like.
Right.
It took me a while. My first job, I worked in a convenience store and loved it. It was grateful for it, one, because I'm an extrovert and I got to talk to a lot of people, but grateful that somebody would take a chance and give me that opportunity. So I spent a lot of time just being around people, because obviously for a length of time, of that 12 years, I did about 3 of those years and then was out for 4 years, and then spent a little over 9 years the second time I was in prison. So it'd been a long time, and I'd spent a lot of that time just trying to look at some fundamental things about me and fix some things about me so that I could function in society the way I thought people were supposed to.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, it's like that. It's like that stuff that a lot of us just aren't going to be able to relate to. It's just fascinating to listen to, and I don't know how you feel like reliving that stuff. I know that it's just a 180 is almost like not even strong enough, I feel like, to describe. But that's what it is to who you are. But I'm curious. So you get out and then very soon after that you start talking to your now wife, Shanoa.
Yes.
That in and of itself is kind of a crazy story too.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you tell them about how that went?
Yeah. So I got out September 14th of 2010. And I was just excited. Everything was awesome. Everything was new. But at the same time, there were aspects of the world that had changed dramatically since I had gone in. Like, Wi-Fi and social media were not things that existed before then. And so I'm just checking stuff out. And I got my first smartphone and doing all that kind of stuff. And so I ended up in this rabbit hole on social media one night, just looking at friends of friends of friends and that kind of thing, and just going down this rabbit hole. And I ran across Shanoa. And Shanoa and I had dated right before and during the very beginning of the first time I went to prison. We met. We dated for probably about 6 months. We were both drug addicts and and then didn't see each other again. So here, like 17 years has passed, and I just was like, oh, hey, it looks like you're doing great. You know, she had relocated. She didn't live in Arizona anymore. She lived in Virginia, and I'm like, oh, you know, looks like you're doing great. That's awesome. And we talked on the phone the next day, and 28 days later, we got married.
28 days later.
Yeah, the first time we saw each other face to face was the day we got married.
Wow. I didn't know that detail.
Yeah.
I knew the 28 days, but I didn't know that detail.
Yeah.
So y'all only talked on the phone?
Yeah.
Wow. See, this is what you come here for. That content right there. You had to be told that you were crazy from the people who even had time to know that it was happening.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the first time I heard my grandmother cuss.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when I started telling my family, and you know, on the funny side, sure, you know, there's that kind of stuff. On the other side of that, there's a level of understanding. One, it seems completely and totally insane to marry somebody in less than a month that you haven't seen in almost 20 years, and then the other side of that is, you know, I've got my family who hadn't been around me for the last decade, and now I was getting ready to leave, you know, so there's a level of understanding of that, and it was kind of crazy, but here we are.
Here we are. It was
Yeah.
the right decision.
Yes, it
clearly.
was.
That must have been, I mean, because you got out talking to her 28 days later. So, I mean, it was all within how long of a period of time between getting out and being married?
So I got out September 14th, 2010. We talked on the phone January the 8th of 2011.
2011.
And got married on February the 4th.
Holy cow. So basically in like a 3-month span, you had just gotten out of prison. Now
Yeah,
you're married
yeah.
in Virginia.
Within 6 months, because it was September to March. March is when I relocated here. So within a 6-month period, I got out of prison with absolutely nothing. And
Sure.
then I was married and living 2,300 miles away.
It's a place you hadn't
Had never been before.
been before. Wow. Well, that's incredible. So now you're in Virginia in the story, and you're married. I know a huge. So was God on your radar at all?
If by radar you mean avoidance, then yes. I didn't want to have anything to do with God. I had, from my perspective, I had suffered trauma that was outside of my control, and I had also, there was a lot of self-inflicted trauma as well. But it was easy for me to just blame all those things on him and not want to have anything to do with them.
Sure. So, but that changed when. Tell that story.
Yeah. So my wife, for anybody who knows my wife, you know it. She's been a Christian her whole life. She's been a part of like the launching of the huge mega churches of like 30,000 people in Arizona, and she's awesome. And so we would have conversations of faith, and I probably knew like 2 things about the Bible, and they were the 2 things I like to use as weapons against Christians. And so she would try to broach these subjects, and then I would start just firing off, and she'd just throw her hands up and be like, I just don't want to talk about it. You do what you want to do, and I'm going to do what I want to do, and that's it. And so that's how it kind of went. And then one day, if you'd asked me that day, I probably would have said, oh, I'm just, being a good husband, falling on my sword. Sure. And I said, hey, I think maybe we could go check this whole church thing out if you know somewhere that we can go. And she's like, yeah, I know just the place. She had been coming to PCC since 2007 when she moved to Virginia. And
you were like, in your mind, you were like, score. I'm going to get her off my back for a while if I just go to church one time.
Yeah, we'll just go check this thing out. We don't have to talk
Make
about
her
it
happy,
anymore.
score a couple points.
Get the waves down a little bit.
Sure.
And so April the 17th of 2011 was the first time I walked into PCC. And I wore a long sleeve shirt, like I am today, but because I'm covered in tattoos, and I didn't want anybody to know because I thought, well, as soon as people see me, they're gonna know, they're gonna judge me, they're gonna this and that, So I wore a long sleeve shirt, and when we're walking up to the Powhatan campus, and Brian Hughes was standing out front. And Shanoa walks over, and of course they know each other, and they're talking, and so she introduces me to Brian, and I remember him sticking his hand out and being like, "Oh, hey, we're so glad you're here." And I remember smiling and thinking to myself, like, "Yeah, dude, right? Like if you only knew, anything
That's
at
what he
all
has to
about
say.
me, yeah,
That's what he has to say.
yeah, then it'd be over. So yeah, that was the beginning.
The beginning. And then, so let's move into, that's the very beginning kind of your faith journey. Well, I guess, I mean, your whole life's kind of your faith journey, but you know what I mean. Describe the moment, if you can, of when things changed in regards to how you felt. I know there's probably several.
Yeah,
but
I think there's quite a few moments. For me, the more I came, the more I look forward to coming, and then I got involved in a small group and started volunteering, and I'll never forget that because that was hilarious to me. I'm like, Brian comes to me and he says, I think you should serve on the safety team. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, don't you need a background check for that? And he's like, yeah, but it's fine. And he said, nobody will want to do anything with you around. And so I'm like, okay, so the church runs my background check. It's 23 pages long, by the way. And so I started serving on the safety team. But I got involved in a small group. I was in Brian's small group. And something began to happen there that was, I can't even describe, because that was the first time in my life where I had ever opened the Bible and looked at something and read like 2 sentences and had to write 2 pages of notes because of it. I mean, God was clearly speaking and moving in such a powerful way. And I began to have close interaction with people that was vulnerable and real as we wrestled with things of God. And it was a safe place. Like, there was no judgment because I didn't know something or I didn't understand something. It was trying to work through it together, and God really used that in a powerful way to give me just some small understanding of what he wanted for me.
Yeah, and that, I mean, you just mentioned like you were finding that community there, that connection, which earlier when you said, right, when you got out of prison, like that's what you were, just at least a little bit of what you were hoping to find when you got out, to at least establish.
Yeah, and I didn't even know, what I was looking for or what I wanted. When you first get out of prison in a situation like that, when you go somewhere or you're walking around somewhere, you feel like you got this giant flashing neon sign that says, like felon on it, and everybody knows, and that's all internal. That's your own stuff. Like, people don't know necessarily where you've been or what you've done, but in trying to find some form of acceptance and some form of people who shared similar interests and those kind of things, because when I started to kind of alter the way that I live my life, I like to say, if I want to learn how to play football, I'm not going to ask Tiger Woods. I want to be around people who are trying to go the same place I'm trying to go, or who are already there.
Yeah.
And so as my faith journey began to unfold, it was the same kind of thing. I wanted to be around people who were trying to be good followers of Jesus, or who were really investigating what it meant to follow Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that led to a conversation with Brian that we've heard about here a few times. And I know that, when were you baptized?
2012.
Yeah, okay, 2012. And then, so the conversation I'm referencing with Brian, you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure.
I mean, you've had plenty, but the one that he's told, where he sort of invited you, let's do this together.
Yeah, well, it actually kind of predates some of that conversation, because before Brian's very inspirational, let's change the world together, the pivotal moment for me, where I was kind of all in and ready to say yes to whatever God wanted me to do, happened in November of 2012. By that time I had taken over the small group for Brian, which that's a whole nother thing there. But one night we were sitting in small group, and there was a person in small group who was new to small group, and they had some struggles that I could relate to on some level with some aspects of my life. And so I had shared with them a piece of my story in small group. And, Brian was sitting in the back of the room, not really engaging in small group, just making sure I wasn't going to break nothing. Like, I wasn't going to, screw things up real bad. And he came over to me and he said, you're going to have to tell this story to the church. And,
You're like,
yeah, like, I'm going to write it down and you're going to tell it. Like, if you think I'm going to get up in front of all these people and air all my dirty laundry, you're wrong, dude. That's not happening. But he's super persuasive. And so that day, when I stood on that platform for the very first time and told people my story, in between two of the services, I had an 18-year-old girl walk up to me with tears pouring down her face. And she said, I'm addicted to heroin and I don't know what to do. And I had a realization in that moment that God could take all the things that I had done when I was as far from him as I could possibly be, and he could use them for his benefit. And so I decided in that moment that after everything that he had done for me, the least I could do was give him whatever I had. And then God began to use other conversations that happened, a conversation with Beth Stoddard and conversations with Brian to really kind of expose the calling that God was placing on my life to vocational ministry, to be a pastor.
Yeah, and since then, since all that went down, it's just kind of constantly been pouring out from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's so much of that we could talk about when you were campus pastor here at Powhatan, when Amelia launched and everything like that. But I'm really interested because I feel like our viewers, particularly our student viewers, probably know that we have a campus at Nottoway Correctional Facility, but don't really know anything about it other than that. So can you tell the story of how we got involved there? Like, why did you even approach that, and how did that work out? And
yeah, there's some really cool God stuff here. So I got a phone call from a guy in 2000 and May 2017, I think. And he's a retired 3-star admiral named Dean Lee. This guy spent 35 years of his career chasing drug runners, and this guy calls me from North Carolina. I never met him before, and he says, hey, somebody gave me your name, and I really think you need to come to the Chesterfield County Jail with me to talk to these people in this HARP program, which is an addiction program. And so I said, okay. And so we went, and, I'm nervous, and which is funny because, nervous.
Right.
I think I was more nervous about that door shutting behind me and not being able to get back out.
Right.
And so I got all my stuff together, and we go in there, and, he gives this big flowery introduction, which is completely unnecessary and definitely undeserved. And I get up, and I just start talking to these guys and telling them my story. And when I get to the end, I start taking questions from these guys. And there's a guy, an African-American guy sitting over to my left. And he raises his hand, and he's got a question about forgiveness. And he gets really emotional as he's asking this question. So I just walked over to him, and I put my hand on his shoulder. And, and he stood up, and I gave him a big hug, and then he sat back down, and I walked back, and started answering some more questions. And after a few more questions, he raised his hand again. And I looked at him, and, he says, when you came in here and you started talking about, all this gang stuff, about the Aryan Brotherhood and all that kind of stuff, I really had to push down a lot of hate inside of me, he said, because I was stabbed 21 times by the Aryan Brotherhood in prison, and I would be honored if you would baptize me. And I was wrecked. It was everything I could do to kind of keep it together. And I got back to my truck. I remember sitting in the Starbucks parking lot just bawling because I had just seen God turn decades of hate into this beautiful moment of forgiveness. And as I drove away from there that day, I'll never forget it. I remember calling Brian and being like, something's, and telling him what happened, and I was just a wreck. And I'm like, there are so many churches and so many organizations that go into jails and go into prisons, and they tell people about Jesus, and they put on these amazing weekends, and lots of people get saved. And it's all awesome, but nobody invites these people to be a part of the local church. And I felt like that was missing. I felt like that was lacking, and I wanted to do something about it. And so I had no idea what that looked like, but God did. And it was interesting because I listened to a whole lot of podcasts and different pastors. And one of the pastors I listened to, whenever his intro, every time he's like, he's talking to all their campuses, and he says, and I'd like to talk to, hey, welcome all the guys joining us in our partnership with God Behind Bars. And I had no idea what God Behind Bars even was, but I remember hearing that. So I Googled it, and I go to their website, and it's totally it doesn't really tell you anything. There's no information.
Cryptic.
Yeah. And so I submit some info on there for them to reach out to me, and I'll never forget it because they're based out of Las Vegas, and I was walking around Floor and Decor one day on my day off, and I get this phone call from Nevada, and this guy is like, hey, so and so with God Behind Bars and da da da, and we start talking, and he's like, okay, well, this is what we do. We partner with churches like so he starts telling me a little bit about it, and he says, hey, how would you like to have lunch next week? And I'm like, well, do you want a map? Like, we're 1,900 miles apart, right. And he said, well, it just so happens that we have a meeting with the Virginia Department of Corrections next Wednesday. I go, okay, yeah, sure. So we met at Panera in Midlothian, and he walks in and he says, hey, do you know this guy? Some guy that works for the Department of Corrections. I said, no, I don't know. And he said, well, we walked in there and told them about what we do. And when we got done, this guy walked up to me and he said, hey, you really need to talk to Jeremy Ford. And he was like, well, I have a meeting with him right after this. Like, it was just total, you could just see God in this whole thing. And so we started moving forward with that. And then, in 2019, March of 2019, we launched our Nottoway campus, which has been one of the most amazing things that I have been a part of, not just for what we have seen God do in the lives of people inside that facility, but what's happened in the lives of our people in our church as well, about getting excited and getting behind it, and the people who volunteer and what's happening in their lives. We've got guys who are coming to church who've never stepped foot in a church before, whose only church experiences have happened in a prison gymnasium and a PCC service. And it has been transformational. For me, it's been really cool because I've been able to step back into a space that I told myself I'd never go into again, but in a completely different capacity. And to show these guys what God is capable of, to show them that there's hope, that they can change, that God can do something in their lives, and that God can use them in a powerful way. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, there's so much in that story and so much more to that story and what's been going on there. But you've been telling us on staff just some of the sort of innovative. So not only was it kind of innovative for our church to go in there, because at the time, or maybe still, there were no God Behind Bars partners in Virginia.
No, there was not at the time. There was not a single church in Virginia doing this. We were the first one to do it. Now there's one more.
There's one more, which is awesome.
But so yeah, there's 50. So God Behind Bars, their organization partners with churches like ours, and there are 50 across the country.
Yeah.
So there. Are
but
50.
not only was it the first one, but in the a little over a year now that it's been going, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you and your team there have been able to get access to things that even like they don't normally get access to with God Behind Bars.
Well, this whole coronavirus thing has really done something in that. So when I was having conversations, conference Zoom calls with God Behind Bars about what they were trying to do, like trying to get to where we could broadcast church services inside of prisons, we were already doing it. Like every week since this whole COVID thing happened, we've been broadcasting our church service weekly through the institutional TV channel, so to 1,700 guys.
Yeah.
And they were still trying to figure that out, and part of that's God's thing, but that's just a lot of relationship building, with the guys at the facility and them understanding what it is that we're trying to do for these guys. So.
Yeah. So, I guess because we have about 10 minutes left, and I want to get to some more just fun storytelling, lighthearted stuff here in a minute. Not that this has been incredible storytelling. But just you mentioned earlier that when you spoke for the first time, and you had somebody approach you that was like, hey, I can kind of relate to a little bit of your story, and it sort of changed the mentality for you about sharing your story in your past.
Yeah.
How? I know this is big because I'm similar in this way. Not obviously our scenarios are way different, but stuff from my past that I've been able to use to help other people since. What has it meant to you that's the case, that God would allow or use you for that sort of thing?
It's probably one of the most humbling things that I get to experience. I get invited into a lot of churches and different organizations to come speak and tell my story. And obviously, I've told it in its entirety and bits and pieces mostly to our church. But that God would use me in such a way. You know, I feel like for me, it's a narrower subset. But I was the guy who was sitting in the back of the church who liked everything I saw. I mean, enjoyed the worship, loved the teaching, loved the people, all of those things. But I thought, when you stand up there and talk about forgiveness, you don't really understand because you haven't done the things I've done. And I think that God has positioned me in such a way that I have this amazing opportunity that God has given me to go into churches who feel all those things about their church, who love their pastor, who are bought in, sold, they're sold out for it, but they're still a withhold. They're not sure. And I get to come in and show them, hey, look, this is not theory. This is practical application. Like, because if God can do this for me, he can do this for anybody. So it's really amazing to see how it's kind of taken off and what God has done. It's so far exceeds anything I ever thought I would get to experience in my life.
Sure. Well, in true Christ follower fashion, you won't really take credit for a lot of things that have happened in your life, but I know our viewers are, we are here in the room even. We're better because you've been willing to share your story and to be vulnerable, and it's an inspiration to everybody. So we appreciate that. You probably get told that a lot, but we really appreciate that. For our last 8 minutes,
Okay.
I want to talk. We're going back to Arizona, okay?
Okay.
Because you grew up in Arizona. You're a spicy food guy.
Yes.
Like, totally. Like, do you want all your food spicy?
No, not all my food. I love to try food, so when I travel, which is something else I never thought I'd really get to do much, I love to go to like the Caribbean and places like that. I love to try all food, so it doesn't have to be spicy food, but I definitely have a predisposition for some good spicy Mexican food.
What is the strangest food that you will add spice to that people are like, what did you just do?
The strangest food that I will add spice to, aside from like chili pepper chocolate. Let's see. I don't know. I will put hot sauce on anything. So I don't know how many of you guys know this, but Elijah has one condiment. It's ketchup, and he puts it on everything. And I'm that guy, except with hot sauce. I'll put hot sauce on pretty much anything.
What's your go-to hot sauce?
Probably Cholula.
Okay, popular one.
Mm-hmm.
But Cholula though has to be very low on the hot sauce scale. Things that you've tried.
Yeah. So I was telling Elijah just before we started this, I have some hot sauce. I go to a place called the Pepper Palace to buy hot sauce. There's one in Williamsburg.
I never want to go to a place called the Pepper Palace. I just want to make that known.
And so I have some pretty rockin'. I have some stuff called Emperor Scorpion hot sauce in my fridge. It's the third hottest pepper in the world, and I'm pretty sure it came out of a battery.
What is it? The Scoville?
Oh yeah, I have no idea
what
what the Scoville. It's over 1 million.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
For reference, I'm pretty sure like Sriracha, which will torch my mouth by the way, is like 300.
Maybe a little more than that. I think a jalapeno is like 9,000.
Right, and that you said over 1 million.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
We were in Belize on a mission trip, and on the last day of the mission trip, a lady who had been making breakfast for us every day comes in with this box of the just random jars she had found and cleaned out, and there was homemade habanero hot sauce and this radioactive orange hot sauce that she gave out to everybody, and that was probably some of the hottest hot sauce that I have ever eaten.
Are you the guy who goes to a restaurant that has a hot sauce challenge and is like, give me the waiver, let's do this?
No, I actually have never done that. I'll eat the hottest wings. I like dry rub wings, and so I'll eat like the hottest dry rub wings at B-Dubs, and I enjoy those. Those are good. I like to try different hot stuff. I went to an Indian restaurant with my wife last year, and had never been to an Indian restaurant, and was like, yeah, bring it to me the way you eat it, and it was pretty.
Were they like, are you sure?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I always do that because I try to be adventurous with food. Like we went to an Ethiopian restaurant one time, And I was like, yeah, I'll just take that. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know what it is. But she's like, do you want that well done? And I'm like, no, I want it the way you eat it. And she literally brought me like this lump of raw hamburger with some spices mixed in with it. And I ate it, but it was not very good.
I'll get it well done next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely want to put that
Yeah.
on the grill for a little while.
Do you think that we're going to move off spicy food here in a second? But
Okay.
I'm like so anti-spicy food that it like people who can eat spicy food, it's just I'm like I don't know how you do it because my mouth gets so on fire like whenever I eat anything that has like remote spice.
Sugar.
Yeah, sure.
No, sugar is the cure.
Oh, is the cure? Got it. Okay, I thought you were making a joke. Like
No.
sugar is spicy to you.
No.
Do you feel like since you've been in Virginia, your tolerance to it is a little less than it used to be?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I eat less of it.
Right, sure.
I don't have access to what I would consider good, authentic, like Sonoran Mexican food. And so I just don't eat as much of it as I used to.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of eating, though, if you've known Jeremy since the 2010 that he's been around here, you've seen him fluctuate in size.
Yes.
Definitely not like me. Okay, so not making fun of you, but I have discovered about you as we've gone on like creative retreats and stuff that when it comes to dieting, maybe you're this way in your whole life, but particularly when it comes to dieting, you are like militant dieter, like Christian Bale levels of diet for a movie role. Like, where does that come from, and how do you do that? Talk about your latest diet real quick.
Yeah, which completely went off the rails when.
Fair enough. You get a pass right
when
now.
Rona started. Just FYI, I've been eating horribly. But so if I'm not super militant, I will go off the rails. There's no in between for me. And part of that might come from my addictive personality, but I can't, it's one side or the other. There's no middle ground. And so I have to be super militant. So in January, I decided that I needed to lose some weight. I was about 240 pounds. And in 6 weeks, I lost 40 pounds. So I did intermittent fasting where I only ate for 4 hours a day. And during that 4-hour window, I ate ketogenic foods, 70% fat, 25% protein, and 5% carbs. And I also ate a maximum of 1,300 calories a day.
Oh my gosh. At 240 pounds, like, no wonder you did, because your body was eating itself. That's basically what was happening.
Probably.
It had to be. That's the only way you drop that much weight that fast.
Yes.
But like, how do you just flip the militant switch?
It all comes down to planning and execution. When I go, okay, this is it. Like, I'm not buying clothes. Like, I'm not getting to that place again. And so I'm just planning it out, and I'll map out the first week, and then it's just have to stay the course.
You make it sound a lot easier than it is. I just do it, Well, fair enough. More power to you.
I don't know how else to describe. I mean, you just have to do it. And what usually happens, so I'm also, because I like to go off the rails, is about the time I get within 4 or 5 pounds of my goal, that's when I start to, maybe I can just add in or maybe I can have a.
So close.
It always happens. And it happens so fast, which drives my wife absolutely insane. Because she does it with me, because she's a good sport. And it usually takes her about a year to lose the same amount of weight. This time it didn't. She was not far behind me. But she's like, I want to lose more, and you're already there, and it's happened every time. My weight's fluctuated probably 60 pounds since I've worked at the church. I've gotten up to 260 and then down to 200.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, we're out of time, but I really appreciate you coming through. I hope you in the chat appreciate Jeremy and his story. It's really incredible. So thank you for sharing it. I hope that you continue. I know that you will. Hey, in just a few minutes here, we're going to have another segment that we're calling Tea Time, I believe. That's right. Yeah. It's me. We're going to kind of just reflect on the 44-hour live stream and talk about what you liked, what you didn't, and some other stuff. So,
are we talking about like golf tea, or are we talking about like drinking tea?
We're talking like drinking tea. Yeah.
Oh,
tea time.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be sweet if we could get the camera out to the links and hit one. Although you wouldn't want to see that from me. It would be embarrassing. Anyway, hey, thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Thanks for having
see
me.
you in a few minutes here. Hang out, interact in the chat with us. See you then. Bye-bye. Hey everyone, welcome to Tea Time. Ellis, we good?
We good.
All right, cool. Hey, during these next few minutes, we have it slotted for 30 minutes, but we're probably not going to go that long so we can prepare for our final segment. I wanted to just sort of talk about the live stream, talk about what we've done, what God might be able to do through this, and basically what you have thought. A lot of what we wanted to come from this was just a good time for our students. As the whole world's sort of been quarantined for I don't know 6 weeks now or so, our students in particular, a lot of, like, if you remember, a lot of our forming and interaction comes from interaction with friends. And that happens at school or hanging out at their house or whatever. Pretty much all that's gone away. You know, when I was a student, I pretty much didn't work when I was a student. I did work at Brewster's up the street for a little bit. I did work at a snack bar at the pool in Midlothian for a little bit as well. But for the most part, I didn't work much. So the interaction I got with other people was basically my friends at school and everything, and then my family. So it's extremely hard. All that to say is it's probably been particularly hard on you guys, our students, this quarantine, because having seriously asked a few of you like what you felt initially, you were like, yeah, it's cool that we don't have school, that's awesome, but it's kind of weird, I don't know what's happening, to the point where you're like, I wish we were back at school. Like, you never would have caught me saying that as a student. Now, if this were happening when I was a student, you may have, because I really did value the time I got with my friends at school. So that was one of the reasons we did this. By the way, it is called Tea Time after all, so I ought to tee it up. Yeah, I go Lipton black tea. Okay, don't judge me. It's not green tea. It's not herbal tea. It's not whatever actual tea drinkers are supposed to drink. And I'm going to be completely transparent with you. You ain't going to see me take a sip of this tea during tea time. Not because I don't like tea. I actually do. It's because I'm really bad at drinking hot drinks. I know that sounds dumb, but I permanently burn my tongue every time I drink something hot. So I just don't do it. And you can't tell, I'm sure, on the video, but it's straight steaming right now. So yeah, probably not going to actually take a sip of it, but it'll be nice and ready and my temperature when tea time's over. So anyway, that was just an aside. So that's part of the reason we did the live stream. Another part was we wanted to try something new. We wanted to, not that live streaming is new, but just when we came up with the idea, me, Ellis, Lindsay, and a couple others, like when we were forming it, and at least in my mind, it was like, could we even pull something like this off? Like, what would it take to pull something like this off? And working through that has been all across the spectrum in terms of fun and stressful and exciting, and feeling like we were doing something that was pretty cool. And also in the wee hours of Friday morning, or when we get copyright kicked off YouTube, thinking, why? At least for a moment, why did we do this to ourselves? So that was the second reason. The third reason was of course for our students again. This weekend was supposed to be our spring retreat that we go to Watermarks Camp every year, but of course, like most things, it got canceled. So we wanted to have something for our students to do the same weekend, because it's probably particularly hard for our seniors who can't go to Watermarks, who aren't going to get to go to Watermarks as a student again when they thought they might be able to this year. We wanted to make sure they had something they could at least do this weekend. So, chat, how many people we got here?
We got 11.
11. One of them's my phone, so probably 10. The 10 of you who are here, if you don't mind just sharing a couple things that you've really liked about this live stream, or honestly things that could be better about the live stream, because this is me like totally just formulating. We didn't really plan for this segment, to be totally honest, but I actually think it's going to be nice because to be able to hear from you just in this moment, or if you're watching this later, you can leave it in the comments on the video, just to know like what you thought, like what did you actually feel engaged with? What did you actually feel like you were part of? Because obviously you lose some connection over online, but it's like easily the fastest growing medium to do anything, and people spend a ton of time on YouTube. So there's something about being able to interact with one another that is special. So yeah, let's just jump in anytime if somebody says something. But yeah, well, let's talk. You and us here. The segment will work a good bit better if you talk. You don't have to just listen to me talk for several minutes. But anyway, so yeah, so the third thing that we really wanted to do was make sure we had something for our students because the spring retreat was canceled. So yeah, with that in mind, did you get something?
Yeah.
All right.
I got a few. Let's see. Tammy says a lot of work, and you guys have done awesome.
Well, I appreciate that, Tammy. You were very instrumental. Tammy, if you don't know, if you've been watching the stream at all, at some point you probably saw her in the comments. She's super active on our Discord server for students, which, by the way, if you're a student, you're not part of our Discord channel, we can link that in the description of this video once the live stream's over. So you'll check that out. That's like a place you can always go to chat. It's just like a text chat room. It's actually a lot of fun. All that to say, Tammy's been super active there too, posting a lot of pictures, doing a lot of giveaway stuff. So, Tammy, you're a rock star. Thank you for being all in, even in quarantine times. It really helps us, and so we appreciate you. Thank you for that compliment, though. It's cool.
One Jackie H says, "This has been great. Thank you for all the hard work that went into all of this. You guys need to sleep for a week."
Jackie H, if you don't know, is my mom, and she was also part of the two cooking segments yesterday, the Saturday cooking segments. I'll just say, I mean, she's my mom, so I'm going to do my best to like not be super biased here, but I'll just say what basically you've said. Anytime somebody brings up the live stream, which has actually gotten a decent bit of buzz on social media around, they bring up the cooking segments that you were part of. You and George absolutely killed it. It was so fun, so cool. And even when we had to sort of abandon ship for a minute and go to Facebook, it actually worked out that y'all were there because it was like, oh yeah, this is still great, even despite the challenges. So thank you. I am going to sleep. You can bet on it, but definitely gonna see my wife and my daughter for a while before I do that. So yeah. Anything else?
Yes. Brendan says, "I've loved it so far, and everything y'all have done has been awesome. He particularly liked cooking, dad jokes, TikTok dances, and the interviews."
Yeah, see, cooking was first on his list. Brendan, thanks for being here, man. I know that you're a constant here at our small groups, and you and I have personally had some good conversations. So I appreciate you being here and encouraging us. Yeah, interviews were a lot of fun. That interview I just did with Jeremy and the one I did with Angie on Friday was a lot of fun. Particularly to Jeremy, there was so much more I wanted to ask him, but it just, we didn't have the time. And but you find those people because they can teach you so much about spirituality and the way a relationship with God ought to look. Not that any one of them would say that they're perfect, but they certainly have put a lot of thought into what a relationship with God looks like and have learned some stuff along the way. So, what else?
Brian Hughes says, "Lipton, where's the Earl Grey?"
I thought Lipton's not. What? I thought Earl Grey tea is just black tea, right?
I don't know.
Is that a brand?
It sounds like he knows what he's talking about, though.
Okay. Well, I'm showing my tea noobness. It's called tea time because we were just going to sit here with a coffee mug, not because I was actually going to drink tea. But this really is tea, and this cup really is hot, and I'm really not going to sip it because it's going to burn my mouth, and I'm going to talk with a lisp when I do that. What else?
Let's see. Jay says, "You guys have made a big impact for all of us, especially the students. Thank you."
Hey, Jay, we appreciate it. And also, thank you. Jay, I'm going to be honest. Was Jay the one in the obviously that one game with the notorious answer? Was that Jay or Z?
I think that was Z.
Be honest, Jay or Z. Which one of you was that? If you didn't see the block one, you have to go back. We played a particular game show that you would recognize that I refuse to say the name of, but you will know it. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of feuding that goes on. Anyway, J or Z, one of them had what was that answer set the tone for the rest of the stream because it was like, okay, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun. So even though you probably felt bad in the moment, it did a lot of good things for us. So thanks for being a part of that.
So it was Z. Mom ratted him out.
It was Z.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Z, for that. If you don't know, if you didn't watch, I don't want to spoil it for you. Just go back and watch. It's basically right at the beginning of our first block, which is on YouTube already. You can go back and watch that right now if you want. I mean, don't leave the stream, but you could. It's there, available.
Tammy says the pre-recorded videos with music were really good.
Yeah, pre-recorded videos. Yeah, so shout out to those people because I didn't film anything that was pre-recorded. Becca Easterling shot the basketball three-point contest. Josh Bartlam, who works here to shoot video, all the incredible video stuff you see on a Sunday, he does. He shot the dad joke segment, which, like cooking, anytime anybody brings up the stream, they bring up the dad jokes. So, Josh, thank you for your excellence in making that awesome. And then Sarah for filming her own tutorial on for art or for graphic design last night. If I know it's sort of niche, like if you're not super into graphic design, you maybe were like, I don't know if I want to stay for that, but it really was informative, and you can see an artist do art, so it is pretty cool. And she makes a really sweet looking graphic in like under an hour. So way to go. Thank you guys for doing that. I feel like I'm missing somebody who pre-recorded something, but maybe not. Anyway, thank you for doing that.
We got a couple people saying Jackie and George and Brian and Josh need their own show.
Jackie and George need their own show. That would be funny. George, man, shout out to George. What you don't know is he did those 2 cooking segments, but on several occasions brought people like me and Ellis and other people who were sort of behind the scenes here, food, drinks, whatever we wanted. I packed food, but to be honest, between the cooking segments and George and a couple other people making runs for us, like, I didn't actually eat any of it because I had the food. so thank you, George. And yes, that would be hilarious. I mean, y'all were actually, you've worked really well together and know what you're doing in the kitchen. So, and who? Brian and Josh. Yeah. So they absolutely killed that. All right.